Welcome to SubstanceEducation.com's video presentation, Substance Use and Driving, The Road to Disaster. Let's get started by talking about the course goals. In this course, we will identify and explain behavioral domains that, if impaired, put drivers at risk for accidents, identify drugs commonly used in vehicle accidents, to pinpoint the effects that each drug has on driving behavior, and to explain the risk of drunk and drugged driving. On this screen, you will see a few behavioral driving domains. These domains were formed by a panel of experts. Use of drugs and alcohol can negatively impact any of these domains, resulting in unsafe driving. These domains include alertness and arousal, attention and processing, reaction time, sensory perceptual functioning, and executive functions. Let's take a look at each of these individual domains separately. Alertness and arousal refers to your general level of consciousness while driving. This might include feeling alert, drowsy, or being asleep. In general, impairment in this domain results in weaving, poor speed control, and crashes. Attention and processing refers to a few different things. This includes your ability to maintain attention over a long period of time, your ability to concentrate on driving tasks, and your ability to respond to multiple tasks at the same time, such as noticing your speed and maintaining a safe distance from the car in front of you. It appears that all of these functions are impaired with alcohol and drug use. Reaction time refers to how quickly a driver responds to and adjusts to stimuli. This also includes how the driver perceives a problem and has the appropriate physical coordination to adjust to what is happening. For example, a driver needs to be able to perceive the possibility of collision, then use his muscles in such a way that the brakes are applied in order to avoid the impact. Some estimate as much as 90% of the information we process while driving is visual. Drug use negatively impacts visual functions such as glare resistance, ability to adjust to light and dark environments, and visual acuity. Our sensory abilities allow us to perceive things like road conditions and the consequences of vehicle movements. If impaired, we lack skills for scanning the environment and potential roadway hazards. Executive function describes our overall ability to plan, monitor, and negotiate problems that happen on the road. This informs drivers' planning, risk assessment, and crash avoidance. Drugs affect our judgment. Specifically, risk-taking behavior tends to increase, attention decreases, and people make poor decisions. Subsequently, those who are driving while drugged can experience decreased fear and lose control over their vehicles. In 2007, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, completed a roadside survey of alcohol and drug use by drivers. Data was collected from random stops all across the United States. Participants were provided with the opportunity to give breath alcohol measurements, oral fluid samples, and/or blood samples. This survey found that drugs tended to be detected at night, and that the most common drugs detected were marijuana, methamphetamines, cocaine, and alcohol. On this slide, you will see the drugs detected in the roadside survey. Now, let's take a look at each of these drugs and the impact each has on driving. Marijuana is the most commonly used illicit drug. Estimates show that over 100 million Americans have tried marijuana, making it a popular recreational drug behind only alcohol, caffeine, and tobacco. While alcohol remains one of the most commonly used substances in roadside accidents, research confirms that marijuana is a close second. Marijuana is a combination of stems, leaves, and flowers of an annual flowering herb. Some common ways it is ingested include smoking through a water pipe called a bong, smoked as a joint or nail by rolling loose marijuana into a cigarette, smoked as blunts by hollowing cigars and filling with the drug, and brewed as a tea or mixed with food. This slide contains some common street names for marijuana. They include pot, weed, grass, gangster, reefer, and ganja. So, what are the physical effects on the body after marijuana intake? Recreational doses tend to produce the effects of dry mouth, increased heart rate, hunger, and reddening of the eyes. After using marijuana, people may feel relaxed, a sense of joy, panic, or even paranoia. At high doses, people experience impaired memory, changing mood, disorientation, and poor attention. Driving performance studies on driving simulators, open driving courses, and closed driving courses show that marijuana impairs driving abilities for up to 3 hours after using. Decreased reaction time, handling performance, sleepiness, and impaired motor function are also detected. Marijuana may particularly impair monotonous driving for extended periods of time. What's the bottom line on marijuana use and driving? Low and high doses of marijuana impair driving abilities. It affects areas of the brain that control movement, coordination, memory, and judgment. All of these areas are needed for safe driving. Cocaine is another substance detected in the NHTSA study. Cocaine is generally sold as a fine, white, crystallized powder. There are two forms commonly abused. The first form is a powder form that can be injected or snorted. The second form is processed with ammonia or baking soda and water, and then heated to make a smokable substance. On this slide are common street names for cocaine. They include coke, flake, blow, dust, nose candy, and white lady. Some common physical effects of cocaine include increased heart rate, light sensitivity, elevated body temperature, dilated pupils, dizziness, itching and scratching, and talkativeness. There are several psychological effects of using cocaine. Some of these include a sense of joy, excitement, sexual arousal, nervousness, hallucinations, paranoia, and sometimes fear. Driving while high on cocaine produces impaired driving performance. Drivers tend to speed, lose vehicle control, cause accidents, turn in front of other drivers, and engage in overall high-risk behavior. In some studies, aggressive driving is the most common factor found in drivers who had used cocaine. As the effects of cocaine begin to lessen, people may become depressed, feel tired or sleepy, and become inattentive to their surroundings. So, what's the bottom line for driving while on cocaine? There is a significant driving risk. Reports show drivers become inattentive and are at a high risk for collision. Methamphetamine is an addictive white crystallized powder that lacks odor and taste. It is made in large labs or secretly in small labs, such as in homes. Methamphetamine was originally developed from amphetamines and was used medically in decongestants and inhalers. At high doses, more methamphetamine gets into the brain than amphetamine, making it a highly potent and addictive drug. Although how it is ingested varies across the country. Meth can be smoked, snorted, injected, and taken orally. Some common street names for methamphetamines include chalk, meth, ice, speed, crystal, and glass. A few physical effects of methamphetamines can include drowsiness, dilated pupils, feeling tired, restless, lack of coordination, and a craving for more of the drug. A few of the psychological effects of meth include a sense of joy, rapid speech, sleep disturbance, hallucinations, poor impulse control, and feelings of aggression. Research shows that those who use methamphetamines while driving tend to have accidents where they drive off the road. These accidents involve speeding, neglecting to stop, inattention, and high-risk driving. Driving behavior usually includes disorientation, staggering, irrational or violent reactions, and unintelligible speech. So, what's the bottom line on taking methamphetamines and driving? There is an increased risk of taking methamphetamines while driving. Studies show that drivers lack the needed skills for driving while on it or withdrawing from it. In the year 2009, nearly 4,000 drivers were killed in motor accidents who also tested positive for drugs. According to the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, drug driving laws have been slow to pass because of a lack of technology to determine different levels of impairment. The Department of Transportation developed a per se standard that indicates that any detectable illegal drug was considered a violation of law. This standard affected commercial drivers such as airline pilots, truckers, and train engineers. Today, there are several states that have enacted similar laws making it illegal for non-commercial drivers to drive with any detectable level of illicit drug in their body. These laws tend to vary greatly from state to state. It is well known that drinking and driving can have disastrous consequences, but exactly how big is the problem? During the past few years, yearly, over 1 million drivers all across the United States have been arrested for drunk driving. In the past years, research has shown that nearly 1/3 of fatal crashes involved alcohol use. This slide reiterates statistics related to drinking alcohol and driving. Over 1 million drivers are arrested for drunk driving yearly. Nearly 1/3 of all fatal crashes involved alcohol. And half of child passenger deaths were the result of drunk drivers and alcohol-related crashes. The NHTSA survey found a number of significant findings. For those drivers that drank alcohol, there was a higher number of males than females. The time of day also made a difference in the likelihood of having a blood alcohol content that was over the legal limit. Drivers who were drinking while driving tended to do so on Friday evenings and early Saturday mornings between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., with the second highest time occurring between 10 p.m. and midnight. Those who drove motorcycles tended to be twice as likely as car drivers to have blood alcohol content levels above the 0.08 legal limit. Alcohol that is in the body is measured by the blood alcohol content, known as BAC. The BAC is expressed as a percentage and refers to the weight of alcohol in comparison to a certain volume of blood. It is considered a measure of alcohol intoxication. In every state, a BAC of at least 0.08% is considered the legal limit for driving of non-commercial vehicles. For commercial vehicles, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration has determined that a 0.04% BAC is considered driving under the influence of alcohol. Your BAC is affected by several different factors, and a few of these factors include age. As people age, the effects of alcohol becomes more pronounced. Gender. Alcohol is water soluble. Female bodies have less water when compared to men. Because of this, women reach a higher BAC level quicker than their male counterparts. Rate of consumption. Your BAC level will increase the quicker you drink alcohol. Food. Food slows the absorption of alcohol and keeps it in the stomach longer. Those who drink on an empty stomach will have a higher BAC when compared to those who have just eaten. And weight. The more people weigh, the more water they have in their bodies. Because water dilutes alcohol, heavier people need to drink more to increase their BAC. How does BAC affect mood and driving behavior? The next few slides will show how behavior and driving are affected at different BAC percentages. At the BAC level of 0.02%, people may notice the following behavior or effects: sense of happiness or joy, slight loss of judgment, and feelings of body warmth. The effects of driving are the following: changes in visual functions such as tracking a moving target, and decreased ability to do two things: monitoring speed and watching for pedestrians. With a BAC level of 0.08%, people may notice the following behaviors and effects: disinhibition, poor judgment, poor muscle coordination, such as being able to focus your eyes on objects, and decreased alertness. In terms of driving, people may notice impaired glare recovery, speed control decreases, information processing becomes impaired, such as signal detection or visual search, and peripheral vision becomes impaired. At a BAC level of 0.15%, the following behavior or effects could occur: mood change, which could include mood swings, anger, appearing overly emotional, and being loud and boisterous. We also may see a loss of balance and vomiting. Vomiting becomes likely unless the person has consumed the alcohol slowly or has developed a tolerance for it. In addition, we will see staggering, slurred speech, and slow thinking. The following driving reactions may occur: impaired reaction time, impaired vehicle control, including significantly reduced ability to keep in the appropriate lane and brake when situations demand it, and very poor concentration while driving. In this course, we have reviewed the common behavioral domains that are important for driving and discussed how use of alcohol or drugs can negatively impact these domains. We have also reviewed the 4 most commonly used drugs that have been detected in accidents in roadside surveys. These are marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine, and alcohol. Statistical evidence supports the dangers of drunk and drug driving. Think before you drive. If not, you could be driving the road to disaster. You have completed the video presentation, Substance Abuse and Driving, The Road to Disaster. Now, complete the reading, Drugged Driving, located on our website.